Hey there, my name is Russ Lagan, and you are watching the Big Agent Meeting. It is Friday, March 28th, and today we've got a wonderful show for you. We have the one and only Holly Mabry going to be doing a brokerage market update to tell you what's going on in the brokerage. Then we're going to follow it up with the one and only Wendy Forsythe. She's got an announcement today that you're going to want to hear. And then, of course, we're going to kick over to Brian Ellington talking about what's going on in the university, what's going on in the training schedule, so you know what's coming your way over the next week. And then he's going to finish off with a winning client segment with Hallie McCrory. She is absolute dynamo. If you don't follow her on social media, she's always out there doing amazing things. I live vicariously through watching her do awesome stuff on social media. Looking forward to hearing her conversation about winning clients. So before we kick off today, what I'd like to talk about today is really straightforward, simple stuff. Market Minute. I like to kick off Fridays with Market Minute, give you guys something that's going on in the market so you can take this, put this in your business today, and use this conversation and this verbiage and this information when you're having conversations with somebody when they say, hey, Russ, how's the market? So what I'd like to do is I'd like to show you a graphic. I saw this week. This graphic was put out by National Association of Realtors. And of course, NAR does some things really well. And I love the fact that they do statistics really well. And here's the great part. This particular statistic shows a graphic of what a buyer's market is versus what a seller's market is. I think this is something that if I was out listing houses today, again, I'd want to make sure I had this on hand so I could show them, not just tell them what's going on with the real estate market. What you'll notice is that this is up and down like a yo-yo, and you'll say, Russ, could you have more of a market swing? Yeah, right? I mean, it's absolutely insane. So when you look at going into 2004, 5, 6, the supply of homes was really, really low, and it was a good, solid buyer's market. And then, of course, I don't know about you guys, but if you were around in 2006, 7, 8, that's when I was learning to build a real estate business. Look at this spike going straight up. Inventory went through the roof. By the way, in the Tampa market, January 2008, we had a whole whopping 800 closings in the whole market of Tampa in January 2008. We had a 25-month supply of homes in January 2008. So when you see that high spike, I lived it. I got the scars to prove it. But man, did I learn some really amazing skills in that challenging listing market. And then, of course, you go into 2010, 11, 12, and this thing starts dropping off a cliff. When people start realizing, hey, wow, house prices are low, it's probably going to go back up. Buyers started buying. Institutional buyers started buying really fast and hard. They were snagging up inventory, which is what created that super, super, super low going down into 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. And what you are seeing now is you're seeing the market inventory go up a little bit, even though the home sales volume numbers aren't really going up that much. Last year, we had a 4.03 million home sold year. Previous year, 4.09 million. Prior year, 5.1. So right now we're heading more towards more supply, but we're still not even close to a balanced market yet. In a lot of markets, if you take out the ones that were way overinflated, in a lot of these markets, we're still a really solid, strong buyer's market. I'm sorry, seller's market still. So what you're looking at is somewhere in that 5 to 7 month supply range is where you start getting that tip from being a buyer's market to a seller's market to a buyer's market. So once you see your individual market crossing into that 5, getting into that 6, that's when you're actually starting to head more towards a buyer's market where house prices are going to come down a little bit or go flat for a little bit. And that's when you're going to start to see some shifts. But for most of you, one of the things you need to know is you need to know what is your current supply of homes. If you're a 4.3, you're still a seller's market. If you're a 6.3, you're actually moving towards a buyer's market. So you want to know where you're at so you can advise people on what they should and shouldn't be doing. Some people say, well, Russ, I'm going to wait for home prices to come down. Well, you know what? If your market is at a 7, 8 month supply of homes, you could probably see some deals in your market. But if your market's still at a 2.3, like where I'm standing right now, 2.3 month supply of homes, house prices in this neighborhood are not going to be going down anytime in the near future. So use this graphic. Don't just tell them, show them what's been going on in the market, and people will start to have a higher level of understanding. And when they have higher levels of understanding, they're going to actually want to make better decisions and make better decisions faster. That's what we want as real estate agents. Good decisions and good decisions quick. We love instead of dragging it out all the time. Okay, so there you go. For March 28th Market Minute. Hope you guys got that. Put that in your business. And if you got that and it was too fast for you, play this, rewind it. Remember, you can always catch us on YouTube live channel. You can catch a replay of this on YouTube live right after the show closes out. All right, so with that said, next coming up, KGCI Radio, we've got a little quick info from Ian Wheatley. Ian, take it away.
Hey, thanks for checking into the Big Agent Meeting, streaming here on KGCI Real Estate on Air. And just a friendly reminder, you can catch the Big Agent Meeting live each week on KGCI Real Estate on Air. So if you're out in your car, here's a hack for you. Download the KGCI Real Estate on Air mobile app and sync it with Apple CarPlay or Android Auto while you're out on your appointments, and you'll never miss another episode of the Big Agent Meeting. I got another thing for you. We're coming up on the close of the quarter. And have you been spending the time and making the time to learn the new strategies and tactics that you need to know in order to expand your real estate business? I'd like to challenge you to try something, if you'd permit me. Think of what your business blocker is, and don't feel you need to say it aloud. Just write it down. I don't want people around you thinking that you're talking to yourself, because that'd be a little weird. But what you're going to find is 1,800 podcast episodes on demand right now. If you search KGCI, think K, gross commission income, or know, grow, close, inspire, wherever you listen to podcasts. And if podcasts aren't really your thing, you can scan the code over here right now. Find these podcasts at our website, realestateonair.fm, or at the KGCI Real Estate On Air mobile app for iPhone and Android. But if you're on our website or if you're on our mobile app, you can take that blocker and you can search it, and you're going to find more than a few episodes. You can do that same thing over on Apple Podcasts too. And what you're going to find is that many of our top producing agents and hosts have the solution to your real estate business challenge. And I hope that with this key that you've been given, you can unlock a little bit more success with a little bit of help from KGCI Real Estate on Air.
All right, there you go. Thank you again, Ian Wheatley. If you are not checking out KGCI Radio, put it on your playlist, get it on your Spotify, throw it in your earbuds, go for a walk and enjoy yourself. Make it productive while you're out and about. So thank you very much, Ian Wheatley, always bringing great stuff to us with KGCI. And of course, next up, we have the one and only. I hope you are doing absolutely phenomenal, Holly Mabry, enjoying the sunshine. I heard you had almost 99 degrees in Arizona already, and I hope you're enjoying that. So with no other delay, take it away, Holly Mabry.
Thanks, Russ. You know, I love these opportunities to come to you with the latest of what's going on in the week. And earlier this week, we did hear from the National Association of Realtors. There's been a lot of conversations around clear cooperation and what that should look like for our sellers. What I love is we have seller choice. We've always had seller choice. And where you and I show up at a listing and talking with them about how we market their property, what they can expect, and how we net the most money, well, this is how it breaks down. So earlier this week, the National Association of Realtors basically came forward and said, we're not going to touch clear cooperation, but what we are going to do is give listing options for sellers. This basically breaks down to sellers can say, hey, I want to list my house, but I'm not ready to go out into the whole internet. I can be on the MLS. I want to hold it back from everybody taking a look at it. Maybe they've got specific reasons. I've worked with a lot of folks in law enforcement when I was actively buying and selling with folks, and we kept their house off the market maybe because they were just moving out or things of that nature. So we were very mindful. Also, high-end luxury, sometimes they don't go directly onto the market. As a result, that delayed marketing period is a new status that we'll see from NAR. And this is the local MLSs, they're really going to define how this goes forward. Now, word to the wise, this does not change clear cooperation. So the rules with clear cooperation, it's still same business day. The sign goes in the yard, you better be in the MLS. Now, NAR put out this slide to kind of help describe what was going on. And as you look at the top of the slide, that yellow that says office exclusive period, this would be if you were putting something into a private listing network that is only within our office, only within eXp Realty. And that would allow for just those buyers to take a look. But the minute that sign goes in the yard, that triggers, hey, we've got to be an MLS. Now, some MLSs are even more restricted. I'm thinking of all of you up in Northwest MLS. Yes. You've got very specific rules. Okay, put it in MLS. It just doesn't get syndicated out on IDX. What does that mean? Zillow, Realtor.com, all of the other 500 websites that it could go to. Now, with this new rule that NAR is coming up with, or new status, I should say, delayed marketing period, it must be submitted immediately to the MLS, but you'll have the ability to toggle whether or not it should go out further. Now, this is what it triggers. You'll actually have to have the sellers sign a disclosure that they opt not to go full marketing out onto the internet. This form is likely going to come from the multiple listing service. It'll be signed at time of listing as you're talking about all your strategies, things of that nature. And so we'll withhold the listing from Realtor.com, Zillow, etc. This is delayed marketing. This is something that sellers should be aware of. Now, when you and I are having these conversations about, okay, what does this really mean and how do we have the conversation? Well, first, is delayed marketing the same as office exclusives? No, office exclusives mean we're not telling anybody. It's like a secret within the office that back in the olden days when you were really small, like I worked at an office, there were 20 of us. We knew somebody listed something that morning because they walked through the office and told us. We're in a different environment now because we're all over the place and there are thousands of us. All right, so how do we do that a little bit differently? Now, can a seller list and listing broker advertise their delayed marketing exempt listing, right? Not going out to Zillow or Realtor.com on other websites, including their own website? The answer is yes. So what does that mean? If we have a seller who is not wanting to go out into the IDX world, they can list, it will be on the multiple listing service, and we can put it on exprealty.com. So that's absolutely something that can be done. Then finally, can I share an exempt listing? Because what we know right now, if you're in coming soon status, many times you can't show that property because of clear cooperation. We know it's coming soon, everybody's aware, but we can't show it yet. So we don't want to have unequal footing. Well, with exempt delayed, yeah, I can share the information with my individual client. I just can't broadcast it. So those are some things just to clarify as far as tweaks. So what comes next? Your local MLS has until the end of September to draw up the rule and their interpretation. And what I expect out of this is basically the time frame. How long can you be in exempt delayed? It could be 24 hours, it could be 30 days, like anywhere in between. So there's going to be lots of local conversation on how the MLSs are going to interpret. Then we will see that new listing disclosure form. It will come likely from the MLS. It may come from the state association. And in some cases, if they don't, we may look at doing one ourselves. So we're just going to take it one step at a time. Finally, the MLS, the rules got to be in place by September 30th. Now, in talking to your seller, this hit, it's mainly in the industry right now. We're not seeing it out on the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal, but you have some sellers who are very plugged in. So let's talk about what you talk to them about. The adjustment, it's all about their choice. And we've been really good about that, especially when you look at the NAR settlement last year, everything that we do as far as conversation, really focusing, seller, what's best for you. And what I love about this piece is we get to not just explain, but educate. If you make this choice, this is what would happen on the other side. The more you and I take the time to actually explain, you have choice A, choice B, and choice C. Depending on what you want to do, choice A, these are things that you could look for after you make that choice. Choice B, these are things you would look for. So in this instance, if we do a delay in going on the market, you won't see your house on Zillow and Realtor.com potentially. As a result, you may have limited exposure. You may only see people in the MLS looking at it, which is not bad, but for the maximum exposure, really having all the eyeballs looking on it, because we know buyers, maybe they start their searches online, like to the tune of about 94%. And starting online is usually in one of the big portals. So where are they going? How are they searching? And then when do they connect with an agent? Also, we found that exposing your property to the broadest market possible nets you the most money. We've actually got these studies that have come out most recently. We've seen it from Zillow. The more broadly you have promoted the property, and especially in the lower end market, we're seeing in upwards of 30% being left on the table for sellers that left their property, didn't go as far as they could have, or didn't go on the MLS. So those are things to be aware of. And then finally, I want you to focus on the opportunities. What does this look like? See, if we lead with education, if we empower the sellers to make a great conversation and choice, everything is better. But doing it up front, doing it up at time of listing, doing it as part of the strategy of how do we want to list your house and position it in this market today, makes a difference. Where are buyers coming from? What are their expectations? What are your expectations? What's best for your family? Like, how fast do you need to sell? All of these things that we've been talking about make a difference. Now, as far as impact to buyers, it remains to be seen. I'll just be honest there. Not all listings will appear in IDX searches, so there may be some limits there. Setting up your MLS searches for your buyers are going to be critical. If they came to you through Zillow or Realtor.com, maybe that's where they're comfortable in looking. Great. But still set up those MLS searches so it is constantly reminding you or letting you know when something new hits, especially in that coming soon status or the soon to come exempt listing delayed marketing. I think that that's going to be really important. See, sellers have always had the ability to keep their property off the market, even off the MLS, and just kind of do word of mouth advertising. So how you work in your local market, the relationships that you have with other agents, it's going to make a difference. How you and I take care of our clients and really are an advocate for them, explaining the process. So some things are totally the same. Some things haven't changed, and some things are going to flesh out depending on how your local rules are written. So this is what I want you to watch and understand locally. We are going to do that with you. Your state broker teams, they're very dialed in and focused. So questions I want you to have: how long is the coming soon status in your local market? How long can you be in coming soon? Some houses, some listings, they are unlimited. Some are only good for 30 days. Every MLS is different. Also, this new rule, this new status, how long can I do an MLS marketing delay? How long will that be? And that rule will be flushed out over the next few months. Finally, what does days on market mean? Every MLS is different. And the reason I want you to know that is we are in a shifting market. We are seeing a difference between days on market that's creeping up a little bit. In some markets, we've got like 3.5 months worth of inventory. Also, that list to sales price. What does that look like? And we've had these conversations, and I'm not going to let it go because I want you to be really feel really powerful as you're having these conversations with your seller. You know what your market looks like. You know what to expect, and you know what it means. So what does days on market? Is it from the time I take the listing and they actually sign that I am their agent and the listing agreement starts? Or is it from the time we hit the MLS and marketing begins? Or is it MLS delayed after the coming soon? Like, there's a couple of different dates in there that are a little bit different, and they're subjective market to market. So just ask good questions of your local MLS. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of information being pushed out, and we're going to do our best to stay on top of it with you, what's happening locally. And finally, as we look at everything, it's really important to me to always be giving you resources. And so one of my favorite resources, if you go to NAR.realtor, you can actually download the multiple listing offers for sellers FAQ. It's a very long URL, but the multiple listing offers for sellers, and I'm hoping they're going to be able to drop it here in the chat box for you. That will explain a whole lot more from the National Association of Realtors as they look at this new status, as they look at how we go forward between now and September, and when your MLS has to have this rule in place. They could enact it tomorrow or even next week, but they have to have everything in place. And there might be a little tech on the other end. If you have questions, please come into your broker room. We are very excited to support you, and we're advocates. At the end of the day, and many of you have seen Leo's statements, we're really excited that NAR took this path because it's important to protect choice for sellers, but also allow them the opportunity to be educated. Exposing their property to the widest market possible is really part of our fiduciary duty. And the more you and I do that, we all win. Thanks, guys. We'll see you soon.
All right, there you go. Holly Mabry, always bringing you the good stuff 1 week after the next, bringing information that you need to have for your business to run more smoothly. We appreciate everything you and your team does, Holly, to keep the back end of the real estate business, back end of eXp, running smooth every single day. All right, next up, we have one of my favorite people in the real estate business, the one and only Wendy Forsythe. She's got a quick announcement, so take it away, Wendy.
Thanks, Russ, and hello, everyone. It has been an exciting week here at eXp as we announced our top 250 production winners here in the United States and top 50 production winners in Canada. And I am thrilled today that we are being joined by our number one solo agent in the US by volume. Chandra, welcome.
Thanks, Wendy. I really appreciate you guys inviting me to this, and I'm very excited to be part of the conversation.
Well, our pleasure, and congratulations. I mean, what an amazing accomplishment. And just so that everyone listening knows, you're a solo agent. So you're not running a team, it's just you.
Correct.
Okay, and let's level set that. So just you as a solo agent did over $100 million in volume in 2024.
Correct.
Okay, well, tell us a little about yourself, Chandra. Like what market are you in? How long have you been in the business? Tell us your real estate story.
Sure. I have been in real estate for close to 8 years now.
Okay.
And I primarily serve in Washington as well as Texas. My primary business started in Washington, and then I expanded the business into Texas.
Okay.
And, just like a lot of people, I started as a part-time real estate agent. I was working for Amazon, very high-paying job, as everybody knows.
Yes.
I was in a really good position. And then I bought my own home. And then I realized the excitement of, buying a home. And I really loved how I felt when I bought my home. And I thought I should experience the same thing being on the other side. That's how my real estate journey started. And then as soon as I started working into real estate, I know a lot of agents generally have, take time to build that network and, ramp up their business. For me, it never happened that way. As soon as my business picked up really, really fast. And the first year I was in business, I sold like 60 million or 70 million first year. And then things started moving very, very fast. And at some point I had to make a decision between, my corporate job versus, real estate. And I was so passionate about real estate, I had to, move into real estate as full time. And then I started doing business in Texas as well, and really enjoyed doing both the states. Both are very different markets. And the people that you work with are very different. And the clientele that you work with are also very different. So it has been really exciting. And
wow.
I'm with eXp for 3+ years now.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and really excited to be part of eXp, and I love the people I work with. So it's been fabulous.
Well, that's tremendous. Now, I think that you might have I was looking at my notes because I want to make sure that we really get a breakdown. How many transactions did you do last year?
I think it's about 102 or 3.
Yes, I scribbled that down quickly. So let's just say 100+ transactions.
Right.
And what is your average sale price approximately?
It's roughly 1 million.
Okay, 1 million. Yeah. Okay. So and you're working between 2 markets. How do you spend time between 2 different states like that and run your business?
Yeah, I think COVID has really helped me where I am right now, because during COVID, we all had to move into virtual. And so we had to quickly change our business model, right? So at that time, I had to come up with innovative ideas on how to frame up my own business. Because till that point, I was going for every showing, I was going for every inspection, and I was really hands-on. But during COVID, that was not possible. And also the business has ramped up so fast in COVID that I couldn't handle by myself. So I had to start thinking about innovative ways on how to manage the business. So I had to come up with ways of using different, help for documentation, for some of the non customer facing tasks, I started using help from, different realtors and started taking help. And when I thought about expanding into another state, obviously, I have to have a similar model where I take help in different cities. For example, I do a lot of business in Seattle, a lot of business in Austin. I do a lot of business in Dallas. So, 3 different cities, and I can't be there everywhere, right? So I had to figure out ways of how to set up this model that I have developed in COVID, and I expanded the same model into Austin as well as Dallas. So that's how I framed up the whole business model. And I don't have to be there on site in every city all the time, but I do travel frequently between the 3 cities because obviously, I need to be learning about what is happening in each of those areas, what changes are happening in real estate in terms of, new communities coming up and, new trends. So obviously I had to be in person to be able to, get that knowledge. But I was able to use that model from COVID and expand into different cities.
Got it. So where does the majority of your business come from? Like, how do you prospect for business, especially given various markets?
Yeah. So what happened in COVID was, I think COVID was like a boon for me in a lot of different ways for my business. So most of my business is word of mouth. It has always been that way. But then I think, you can't scale just with word of mouth. So at some point I had to think about, various ways to do it. Between the 2 states, the advantage I had was a lot of people were moving from Washington to Texas during COVID. Because of work from home, they didn't have to be in Seattle. Obviously, the cost of living is a lot higher in Seattle compared to Austin or Dallas. There is a lot of movement happening, and everybody asked me, hey, do you know, because they trust me, and my clients ask me, hey, do you know a realtor who does business in Texas? So generally what happens is that unless I have worked with somebody and experienced how they operate, I don't refer people without having that knowledge of how, because, these clients are very trusted clients, and I want to make sure when I make a recommendation, the other person is also doing, a really good job as well as, myself. Yeah. So I couldn't make a lot of referrals. Then I thought, why not me? Right. So that's how the whole Texas thing started. And in terms of, prospecting itself, I do have different groups that I have, developed over a period of time. And I kept in touch with most of those groups are customers, and I keep adding whenever I have new customers into those groups, and that's the way I keep in touch with them. And of course, I do spend every day. I allocate some time for me to go back to those clients who have their milestones. Like, for example, if they have a birthday or an anniversary or something else is happening, I would have all of those things, pop up as reminders for me, and I keep in touch with them that way as well. So those are some things that I have been doing that have been really helpful for me.
That's great. I mean, that following up and staying in touch. And you mentioned at the beginning of our conversation that you were motivated by the type of experience you wanted buyers and sellers to have. And I can tell that it means a lot to you that you create a wonderful experience for your clients, and then they want to refer you, and they, just continue to develop that relationship.
Absolutely.
So thank you for sharing that. As we wrap up, I'm curious to know if you have any advice that you would share with our eXp agents who are listening today, who are growing their businesses.
So I always think there are 2 things that are very important. One is, customer first. As a real estate agent, you will have a lot of situations where, if you have to make a decision where it either benefits your customer or yourself. It doesn't benefit, both of you at the same time. So you'll have those situations. So in those situations, my number 1 rule always is customer. I always like to do what is beneficial to the customer. at the end of the day, I think, customers see that value. They may not see at that point of time, but they will definitely see it, as you go through the whole process of buying or selling. And they will trust you so much that they will go and refer you to so many people. For example, this announcement came that I was the number one agent in the US. I got so many messages, so many phone calls from my clients. I felt like as if they felt like they got this award.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So I think, that's the kind of, trust we need to build with our customers. Always do what is right for them. Many times it may not be the right thing for you. I'll tell you, 3 out of 10 times or 5 out of 10 times, it may not be the best thing for you, but always do what is best for them, and everything else will work out. The other aspect that I think is important is being very honest and transparent. I know we are trying to make a sale, and sometimes, we are all taught in, sales and marketing that, closing out is very important. Yeah, closing out is important, but in the home selling or buying process, it's important also for us to find a home that our clients are happy about. My bottom line is, happiness is the most important thing, because they are going to live in the house, or when they sell, they want to get the most amount of money. So it's really important that happiness is the baseline for this. And so when you see something that is not right about the house, or when our clients are not making the right decision, even though, you can close out on that and quickly move on to another customer, but never ever, you should always tell them if there is something wrong, or if they are making a wrong decision, or if the house has a problem that you are aware of. Not that we know everything about, we are always learning every day, but whatever you should definitely tell them and make sure that they are aware and make an informed decision.
Yes. I think that, there are no shortcuts, and that transparency and that honesty will always be the right decision for you and your clients ultimately. Well, Shonda, thank you so much for your time today. Huge congratulations again on just a wonderful achievement. And thank you for representing not only eXp, but our industry in such a positive and professional way. It's just a delight to be partnered with you here at eXp. And we wish you continued success as we continue out through 2025.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Wendy, for having me here. And I can tell you, I really love working for eXp. It's the people that I love working with, all of my sponsorship team and the leadership team, and the Washington, managing brokerage team, as well as the Texas managing brokerage team and the support teams. I don't think I would have been able to do this without, all of these people. I think it takes a village, although I'm a solo agent, but I think all of you guys, are behind me and supporting me in various different ways. And that's what made me successful. So definitely huge thanks to the entire, eXp team that has been helping me and making this possible.
Well, it's our pleasure. Thank you so much. And we'll throw it back to our hosts.
All right, there you go. Thank you very much, Wendy Forsythe. All right, coming up next, this is where stuff gets really good, guys. This is where we're getting the meat and potatoes part of the show. We have the one and only Brian Ellington coming up. He's going to give you a university update, tell you what's going on university, what's coming to you over the next week that you need to make sure you tune in on. And then he's going to jump right into interview with Hallie McCrory. Take it away, Brian.
All right, thanks, Russ. Hey, I was reading about this the other day, and I just want to share something. This was about the topic of introversion. It's amazing in FastCap. When we were doing that training program, we have several hundred people going through that. And we regularly hear from newer agents who are trying to get their business started who say, but I'm shy, but I'm introverted. So let me read you something. You're not just introverted. Your nervous system associates connection with danger, betrayal, or rejection. Isn't that interesting? And oftentimes the reason why, when it comes to call reluctance, that we associate that with rejection or those types of things It's because we're not asking the right questions, and we're not doing them in the right way, and we're not bringing great value to the conversations that we're having. So if you'd like to learn how you can do that and do that better, university's got some things for you coming up next week. So first, starting on Monday, we've got Level Up with Shannon Pyatt, the amazing Shannon Pyatt, who's going to be talking about crafting compelling listings, dominating your market, and building a business designed for long-term success. Then on Tuesday, we have our friend Steve Johnstone, who's talking about referral mastery, building a database quickly. Also on Tuesday, if you are a solo agent, 4 million or above, check your inbox, check your exprealty.com inbox. And if it's not there, check your spam folder there. You'll have an invite from Leo Pareja about the Elite Solo Agent Mastermind. Now, we do that call twice a month. On the third Tuesday of the month, Leo and Jared James come on and give a great coaching session. On the first Tuesday of the month, we have amazing solo agents come on and share about a given topic, and then we mastermind with other top solo agents. This coming Tuesday, we're going to have the amazing Kim Fraser and Joe Turco, both top talented agents, talking about their diverse open house strategies, and they both do things a little bit differently. I guarantee you're going to get some great pointers. Joe does 5 open houses a week. Kim did 85 open houses last year alone. And she'll tell you she wanted to do 100. So that's on Tuesday. So make sure to check your inbox for that one. Then on Thursday, we have the amazing Lauren Coleman, VP of Operations. She's going to be talking about systems for your business as part of eXp Executive Masterclass. Also on Thursday is the Team Mastery call with Leo and John Cheplak. If you're a team leader, 20 million and above, again, check your inbox. You'll have an invite there from Leo to join him and John Cheplak on the Team Mastery coaching call. Amazing content there. Big agent meeting next week. I've got my friend Renee Rodriguez, best-selling author of Amplify Your Influence, who's going to be coming on and talking about how you can gain tools for influence, communication, and confidence and leadership in your sales business. And then on Friday as well, we're going to drop the Lab podcast, where I sat down with Tanya Mimi, host of Sell This House, and she's going to talk about her journey through branding and influence and building her business through her social media and media presence. It's going to be a great conversation, so tune in for that. But today, I've got a friend joining me, Ms. Hallie McCrory. Hallie, are you there? Hey, how are you?
Hey, guys.
Hey, Hallie, thanks for being here.
Brian. Oh, sorry.
Always. No, hey, listen, so the university is deep in the middle of a project. We've been building out a lead generation training program, multiple different modules, all the different forms of lead generation. And so Hallie and I got to talking about what she does for social media. And I was like, could you please come on, Bam, and just share what we've been talking about with them? So for those who are unfamiliar, you want to give a brief introduction to who Miss Hallie McCrory is and how you got to where you are today?
Yes, sure. So let's see. I started in real estate in July of 2019, right before the big vid, which was pretty crazy. So I got into real estate. I was in the corporate world and was laid off from my job. And I looked back and I just moved to San Angelo, Texas, a town of 100,000, where my husband's from. And I looked around, there weren't a ton of remote jobs. And I'm like, what am I going to do now? So my husband is a builder. So he's, in investing, he's very heavy into real estate. His whole family is. And I've seen the success they've built. I've seen the generational wealth that they've built. And I became interested in real estate. It was definitely a mindset shift to go from corporate to entrepreneur. But once I took the jump, there was no looking back. So that was 2019. So I've been in San Angelo, Texas, doing real estate. This April will be, or I guess it'll be 6 years this year. But in the last year, I actually broke into the Dallas-Fort Worth market, and we bought a house here as well. So we split our time between North Texas and West Texas, which is pretty neat. It took a dive into not only a new market, but a new niche as well. So I'm trying to focus on more near luxury and luxury properties here, really increase my price point. Just recently was named on the top 250 list.
Yes, ma'am.
2024 on the volume, on the sides, the transaction side. But now I have a goal to be on the volume side and really, again, that price point. So
you're going for the double header. I love it. That's awesome. And by the way, congratulations. That was amazing. I was so happy to see that.
Thank you.
Now, so we got to talking about social, and by the way, I want to point out in your lower third there, as they call it, cool kid talk. It's the little thing down at the bottom, 3-time icon, right?
Yes.
So 6 years in the business, already 3-time icon, probably headed for 4 pretty soon here.
Yes.
Right? And so we got to talking about your social media presence, but that's a part of your business. So I want to put this in the context of all that you do. So could you maybe headline like the 3 major lead sources for you in your business?
Yes. So, like I said, my husband is a builder, so I do have probably like a fourth of my, so I would say a third is social media, a third is referrals, and probably a third is either like my husband's business or just my sphere of influence, I would say. So yeah, I would say that's probably the breakdown, like a good breakdown of my business. And it's kind of funny. I feel like they all almost intertwine though. You know, it's like hitting all those touch points. I meet people in person. Networking is a big part of my business as well. But after I network with somebody and meet them, I immediately go and add them on social media. So I feel like there's almost a little funnel going on that way. And I feel like, you know, I wouldn't just get the business maybe from just meeting them, but keeping up with them on social media really funnels them in, you know, into the pipeline. So.
Well, as well said too, because I can't tell you, as somebody who's coached real estate agents and real estate teams before, how many agents make the mistake of having disconnected, disparate lead generation, meaning they're doing open houses over in this neighborhood, they're doing geographic farming over in that neighborhood, they're doing, you know, some shopping cart marketing over in some sort of grocery store across town, right? Like, what in the world are you doing? Your lead generation should be cohesive and coherent in that fashion. And the other thing too is, you said it very well, you meet people, but of the people that you meet, a small percentage of them are going to be immediate need people, right? People who are actively looking to buy or sell that you would want to work with today. Right. Most of them are going to be long-term, what I call future need people that you're going to need to cultivate over time. Yes. And what's interesting is I keep meeting agents. As part of that lead gen series, we are doing sphere of influence and database, right? Mm-hmm. I kept meeting all these agents like yourself who use social media sort of as an extension of their CRM almost, right? Traditionally in a touch plan, you would call, you would do a pop by, you would send a birthday card, right? All those little touches. Well, social media allows you to do that en masse, right? At one time. So I'm curious, you said a third of your business comes from social media. Can you elaborate on that? Like how do you, first of all, how do you know? Like, how do you track that? And then when you're doing social media, you know, again, long-term cultivation, what are the metrics that you're really focusing on that's going to let you know, okay, I'm going to succeed over time doing this? Yeah.
So of course, anytime I have someone reach out to me, whether it be a direct client or another agent for a referral, I always like to ask, you know, how did you find me? You know, where did you get connected? Did someone refer you? Did you find me somewhere? So I really like to take note of that. I do have a sales tracker that I keep with my operations manager, and we take note of that after every transaction, you know, where that person funneled in. And I do, like I said, a good chunk of my business is also referrals. But at the same time, a lot of those referrals have been through people like agents finding me through social media. I do I'll send collaborations with eXp's Instagram profile. I would say too, just prefacing all of this, a lot of this is Instagram based. That's my chosen platform that I really target just because I like that one the most. But yeah, so I like to ask where, you know, where they found me. And I like to think back, they said they found me on Workplace, but they also saw me on a social media post. I mean, just the other day, I went to Maui earlier this year, and I had all these Hawaii eXp agents follow me. And I figured out that one of the posts I made while I was in Maui, it was like a realtors on vacation, and it's like the audio of a bunch of phone calls and notifications going off. I guess they played that at the Maui state meeting, and then all these people started following me from it. Just little things like that. There's a lot of crossover. So I try to take note of that crossover as well. So that's on one end. Tracking success or metrics via Instagram. I'm going to present with you. I'm going to share
Yeah, please, because you shared some amazing metrics the other day, and I wanted you to share that with everybody on the call. It's interesting, the analytics that go behind these social media platforms is eye-opening to me, because I never used them in sales before. And so to see somebody like yourself who's really just made a science of it is really remarkable. What are we looking at here?
Yes. Okay. So it's a little hard to show when you're not looking at your phone, but so I have my Instagram settings switched to a digital creator profile, which gives you access to these insights. When you open up, so when you switch that, and if anybody wants to do that and hasn't already, I can guide you through how to do that. But when you have this setting on and you go to your profile, there's a professional dashboard that you can click. It shows you an amount of views in the last 30 days. These are the insights that I'm pulling directly from inside Instagram. And I'm tracking this on the first day of the month, every month. So like April 1st is coming up. On April 1st, I'm going to go in and track all my March numbers. Come April 1st, I'll be able to put all of my March insights in, but we've got 3 different tabs that they have on Instagram. We've got views, interactions, and followers. So this is really insightful. I mean, even on a listing presentation. So in the last 30 days, when I looked March 1st, I had 193,000 people that saw some sort of content of mine, which is crazy. No matter, I mean, right before you were talking about how people are hitting open houses. They're doing 85 open houses a month or a year, sorry. You know, do they have this many people meeting them at an open house each year?
That'd be one heck of an open house.
Right. And again, not all those people are buying from me either, but it's still, you know, a crazy reach. And I'm not even like a big, you know, content, like a big influencer. So this was really exciting for me. And I have my insights. So I have like a % growth. So I dug in January. You can see here, you know, beginning of the year, 2025, I really dug in and put together like a business plan via ChatGPT on what I need to be posting and doing. And so you can see here, there's a breakdown of your stories and posts. So, you know, each month I want to see growth wherever I can. But you can see here too, like where your top audience is, profile activity. But again, like these big numbers I'm using in listing appointments. So interactions, we can track that here. My likes, comments, saves. Followers is pretty cool. So most active times of my followers. So I try to follow these. These are the best, like the 4 best times to post by each day of the week. So I can tailor content to, you know, this bracket right here, the people age 25 to 34. So that's kind of the people that I'm targeting, since those are the most followers that I have who are interacting. We can see here that I gained followers, which is nice. But it's really more, you know, according to research that I found, it's more about the interactions. So I'm not so worried about followers, but it is, of course, it is nice to see that growth too. So
could you go back to the views? I wanted to kind of make sure I'm interpreting this, because there's, I think, a masterclass to be had in just studying this data, right? The first thing that jumps out to me is you had 193,000 views of your content, but you don't have 193,000 followers. No. Right? Absolutely. And so you can see the kind of breakdown. 43% is from your followers, 57% is from your non-followers.
So this is my current followers right now.
Okay. And so what's interesting to me about that is, okay, you're reaching a whole heck of a lot more people than actually follow you. And so then the question becomes, okay, well, how do you do that? And then when you were just showing by content type, I'm looking at the followers versus the non-followers there, the rows 12 through 19 there, right?
Right.
And so I'm going, okay, so what are they, of the posts, reels, videos, stories, what are they looking at? Well, your non-followers, it's your posts. It's your posts, far and away, 79% of them. And with your followers, it's your stories. Isn't that interesting? What does that tell you when you look at that as a creator? What then do you go do about that sort of thing?
So I like to go back and look, and Instagram gives you this as well. I like to go back and look what my top posts were, so I know which ones performed the best, and how, that gives me ideas on how I can make variations of that type of post.
Okay.
So we can get into that too. I've got a few that performed well. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting too, because a lot of data has come out about, reels for a long time were the way to reach non-followers. But this is really telling me and validating, the most recent data is showing that Instagram is now going back to those carousel posts where it's very much like storytelling of something going on or of a situation. This is really validating that Instagram is pushing those carousel posts. So not only am I looking at my data, but I'm trying to keep my ear to the ground on what trends or what the Instagram algorithm is favoring also.
Yeah, and then I look at your audience too, and what's interesting is, so your audience is essentially you to a certain degree, right? Mm-hmm. So 52% of them are in your age range. I won't ask you to name what that is, but I'm guessing it's around that.
Yeah,
that area.
I'm 30. It's okay.
Okay, all right. So 25 to 34, and by and large, 72% female. So your audience kind of mirrors, and we talk about this in real estate, right? Find your tribe, find your vibe, and you found that. But what's interesting is Instagram is helping you find that, because a lot of those people are not your followers. It's pushing them to that demographic that is your peeps, right?
Right.
Really insightful stuff. So sorry, you were going on to interactions, but I just wanted to point that out, because I think that's really something for agents to be thinking about as they're building content of, look, you're going to have an audience, figure out who that is and build toward that, and then make sure that you're doing it in a way that's going to get shared out beyond your current followers, so that you can garner more. Yes.
And then, it'll be interesting when I get to the end of the year, to really, pull big numbers from this. I'm thinking about pulling in some sort of Instagram coach to look at these numbers and just really have it all down and packed, and have someone who's actually a professional at this and looks at this day in and day out, to, give me even further insight. I mean, and this is even data that you can upload to ChatGPT. Potentially there's I've been utilizing the AI feature within Instagram to help me analyze, what type of posts I need to be putting out. So I typed in the little Meta AI in Instagram, please look at my profile at Hallie B. McCrory and tell me, what I need to be doing to get more engagement amongst people in Dallas. And it was video. So that's something that I'm, going to be working on now and incorporating when I go and look at my insights each month. Okay, when I go to planning, what I need to do. So that's, I have a little content calendar I made as well in Canva. And again, I'm happy to share, make copies with anybody that sees this training and wants to just have this template. I'm happy to share these. These are easy to make copies of and share. But yeah, so I like to track what I did that month, and even for planning in the next month. Just helps me keep everything organized when there's a million and one things going on.
So let's take me. All right. Let's pretend that this whole chief learning officer thing didn't work out so well, and I needed to get back into sales. I'm not go look at my Instagram. You will be sorely disappointed. It is me and my kids making food. But let's say I wanted to change that. What would be your advice to me? First step I should think about doing, maybe second or third step.
So I would really utilize ChatGPT here. I think you'd really need to pull out like what do you, besides like real estate, what do you like to do? What are your hobbies? What are your values? What are things that are enjoyable for you to talk about outside of real estate? And look at those items, like make a list and dig in deep and think in like a reverse engineer it and say, what would people be interested in most out of these hobbies? What would they relate to most? And how does that translate into maybe the niche I want to work in? So like for me, moving to Dallas, I want to be more of the near luxury and luxury. I know I like going to restaurants. I know I like shopping. This all sounds so superficial, but it's true. And that's one of the, like, those are two of really good aspects about Dallas. Like, we have insane fashion, we have insane restaurants. We're starting to really compete with LA in those markets. And I think people are looking for that type of content when they're looking to move here potentially, especially places like California. So even today, like I recently went to the Dior Cafe, a new Dior Cafe in Highland Park Village. And I just put out a reel this morning about my experience going there. It's food, it's fashion. And I've got me as the headliner picture. And I feel like, I mean, I haven't looked at engagement or anything yet, but I think you really need to dig into stuff that you truly like and like to do. Like, even if it's, your dogs, I'm always putting my dogs on my story. Like, that's one of the most relatable things I can think of. Like, if you're a dog owner, you love your freaking dog, right? And so when you see, like, I'll be walking my 3 dogs. It's ridiculous. I look like a dog walker, but all the leashes will be tangled up. And I posted a video of me with the leashes on my arm on a story, and I've never had so many people reply. We're just like cracking up at my tangled leashes, and I guess it was funny and relatable. But yeah, I mean that, and then from there, it's like you can start taking the conversation anywhere and say, oh, by the way, I remembered you recently had your baby. How are you doing? How's the baby doing? I think it has to be kind of a natural flow of things that you enjoy to do, or things that you're passionate about. And then from there, go to ChatGPT and say, hey, I want, tailor it all towards you, give it all the information that it might need, or even ask it to ask you questions to help it learn who you are, and what your goals are. So I'm a real estate agent in Dallas, Texas, looking to focus on near luxury and luxury. Most of my followers on Instagram, the platform I want to focus on, are in between 24 and 35. And these are the things that I'm passionate about. Can you help me create a content calendar, or like a plan of content of things I should be posting in order to increase my chances of going viral, of getting high amounts of engagement from people wanting to move to Dallas, or people that are looking to move into this specific neighborhood. There's, like, I could go long on these prompts, but the more specific you can get with ChatGPT, the better. So I think that's long-winded answer. Those are the types of things I would be doing. And even from there, and you could say, okay, this is my content plan. Now tell me what I need to do and help me make a business plan to help supplement, what I'm doing on social media. Do I need to be doing, a drip campaign or newsletter with the emails I'm getting from social media? Help me tie this all together.
I think that's brilliant wisdom. A couple of things in that. I think as realtors, the mistake we all make when we first get in the business is trying to be everything to everybody.
Yes.
And we get so afraid of specializing to our tribe, whatever that is, because we think we're limiting the pool of people that we can pull from, when in reality, what we're doing is widening the pool of people who would care about our message, right? If we can speak to them. And then the other thing too is, and I've been learning a lot about ChatGPT from Seth Sealer, our CIO, and Glenn and others, Carrie Sobey, not to mention, about prompting. And I think one of the smartest things that we can do is at the end of whatever prompt we create, tell ChatGPT, ask me 10 questions about me to help you refine your answer. And man, the answers that you'll get back from it when you do that are just far and above what you would get if you didn't do that. So I think that's brilliant advice.
Yeah.
All right, Hallie, thank you so much for doing this. We really appreciate you coming on and being part of this.
So fun. Always fun with you, Brian. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, we'll have to have you back soon. But until then, thank you for being here. And thank you all for being here. Back to you guys.
All right, there you go. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Hallie. As I told you guys, social media, it's like, this is where I know Hallie from. I've watched her just do her stuff, and she's always producing good content and always popping up in my feed because she's consistent. So you're going to take some of the tips that she gave you and just figure out if you can add one of those into your business for the next week, you can take your business to the next level. Thank you guys very much for everything you brought to the table on that fantastic interview. Look forward to seeing how you guys take your business to the next level with social by doing some of the things that we talked about today. So there you go. So before you leave today, we've got the one last thing we ask you to do every single week. We've got the QR code for NPS survey. NPS survey gives you guys the ability to give us feedback. Let us know how we're doing. We make adjustments all the time based on the NPS feedback. Thank you for the feedback over the last couple of weeks. You'll notice we've made some additional adjustments this week to make sure we're bringing you guys the best show we can, the best content, making sure it's a valuable hour of your time every single week. So give us a rating on a scale of 1 to 10. Let us know how we did. If we did a great job, you got something out of this, you got something you put in your business, give us a good score and let us know how we did. And of course, don't hesitate to give us some feedback as we go along. All right, there you go. So that is all you have for March 28th, Big Agent Meeting. We are over for today. I will see you guys next week. Actually, I'm off next week. I've got a guest host. Tony King is going to be guest hosting for you guys next week. I'm going to be in Montreal enjoying eXpCon Montreal. Hope to see a bunch of you guys there. Until then, take care. I'll see you all next week. Stay tuned for Ad Conversations coming up next.